Coming at you this week, these are my top 5 fashionable cities in the United States. That's right, I did a lot of research. I've been to almost 2 of them. Anyways. So this is my second list in regards to fashionable cities. If you want to watch my first one, I will link it in the description below. It has to do with my top 5 fashionable cities in the entire world. And it's a good list if you want to take a look at that as well. Now, there is a specific criteria I did use to break this down. I'll go over that. But first, my name is Timothy Sands, and this is Fashionable Father. If you're one of the early lucky subscribers, welcome back and thank you. And if you're new here, I present content to help men present their best selves. If that intrigues you, subscribe if you're so inclined. So the criteria for this list was mostly places that I am highly inspired by first, and also places that I truly want to visit so I can partake in their culture and fashion. So that has a lot to do with my choices. Probably going to be different than you. So please hit me in the comments below if you have cities that you really recommend and maybe even feel are more fashionable than the cities that I recommend. As usual, my research consisted of rolling my sleeves up and digging deep in to a Google search. That's right. A Google search. Yeah, without further ado, let's get into this. Coming in at number 5 is, am I getting loud? You looked at me. Why did you look at me all of a sudden?
You use your hands a lot. That's all. Sorry.
She's reviewing me now. Coming in at number 5 is Chicago. It is a fantastic city with a lot of diversity, a lot going on. It has a very sleek, conservative look to it, but also has a little bit of an edge because, well, it's an old city and there's a lot of people there and it has had a lot of growth and there's a lot at its access. And given the fact that they do winter and they do it very cold, they do winter well. And I miss winter being from LA, so I really get inspired by long coats, even, camel hair coats, of course, but gloves and hats and all the things that go into a winter outfit that I kind of miss out on, and they do it very well in Chicago. I have to say this, the architecture in Chicago is fantastic, and that river cutting through it is just beautiful, and that's enough reason right there to embrace the city. I know this has to do a lot with fashion, but man, do I love me some architecture. So that also is a reason why I gotta put Chicago on my top 5. All right, coming in at number 4 is Austin, Texas. That's right, this one is going a little rogue. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. And I think with all that brought a lot of cool fashion to the city. This was a toss-up between this city and Nashville. And I guess Nashville's really hitting on a lot of lists as far as fashion, and I didn't really know it, so I investigated a little further, and it had a lot to do with country music and tattoos. So I was really disappointed in that. And I knew right away, I was like, oh yeah, Austin. I like the fashion there. I like that they have taken kind of that Texan rural mindset and classed it up and made it pretty cool looking. And also, there's again such an eclectic mix of people. Diversity is key here. And so there's a lot of people doing stuff down there. So there's a lot of exposure to fashion, meaning more or less restrictions, right? So, and more inspiration. I like that. Obviously being in Texas, they know how to take a boot and make it look good. And also being in Texas, that they just make things a little more rugged, still classy, still cool looking, and has very much of an edge, even more so in my opinion than Chicago. Like, being that they have South by Southwest down there, there's a lot of art, there's a lot of music too. There seems to be more of that edge and that kind of freedom to break some rules, right? As far as architecture in Austin, you gotta love, they have a lot of cool mid-century modern appeal. especially given that it's Texas, and I think a lot of the growth came in the 50s, so there's a lot of homes that have that feel too, so it's worth taking a look at that. Coming in at number 3 is Miami. That's right. International city at its finest. Miami has got so much going on. And if you're going to Florida, are you really going anywhere else? Sorry if you're from Florida and you're not from Miami. There's just a lot of aesthetic going on in Miami itself, right? When you go down there, you get to be in that like borderline tropical temperature where people, they take the suit and it's alternative now, right? It's a linen suit, it's a relaxed suit, it's bold colored suits, it's a light colored suit. It's doing the opposite of most other cities in the United States, which is always inspiring to me. As much as I love winter fashion, I love summer fashion, especially done with like class and a little bit of an edge. And of course, we know Miami's got plenty of an edge, right? The international aspect of it brings so much of that culture and cool access to fashion that normally you wouldn't see anywhere else. They also have an amazing fashion week, and they have a fashion week that revolves just around swimwear. So come on, you gotta chalk that up. And you gotta love the architecture there too with the Art Deco. Can't go wrong with that. So going down there and just checking out some of the buildings and those that South Beach culture is awesome too. Before I get into the top 2, please hit me in the comments and let me know which is your favorite fashion city in the United States. Coming in at number 2 is New York City. It could have easily been number 1. We all know this. However, another city is in that slot right now, and you probably can imagine which one it is. And of course it is. Now, New York, it abounds in everything, right? And given the fact that you have so much at your access and there's always something going on, obviously fashion is going to follow suit. So much happening just on that little island of Manhattan, from high-end culture all the way down to street culture, and that reflects in the fashion. You can go there and get high fashion items, super expensive stuff, but you can also have this gritty, awesome street style, the suits on Wall Street. Everything about New York exudes style. And since it's so compact, which is so different from when I grew up, because I grew up out west, it was so inspiring. I went there as a child and I fell in love with it. And then I was lucky enough to go there as an adult. I went with my girlfriend, now wife, Megan. She took me there and she had lived there for 8 years. So I got this local feel from her and instantly fell in love. Everywhere I looked, I could tell there was someone working at it, whether they were going to the office or if they were just, headed to an audition as an actor. There's so much style in that city. And again, the accessibility is there. I remember when I visited one time, I went into an eyeglass store and I had every brand available to me. And I was obsessed with Oliver Peoples, of course, right? And I could just pick whatever Oliver People frame I wanted. You can't do that anywhere else. Not in this country. Like, that's the only place. And then I went a block away and there was another eyeglass store, and I went in there and there was another plethora of brands. And it's just one of those places that if you want something, you can get it. If you want, there's a video, and I'll link it in the description below too, about my favorite pair of shoes that are crazy expensive, called Belgian Shoes. You can only get them in New York City. That's crazy. The fact that it really does set a precedent for fashion. Its fashion week is epic, and it's international, and it really does. Yeah, it sets a precedent for fashion. So obviously hit number 2. Some people would say it should be number 1. So coming in at number 1, of course, is Los Angeles. I had to make it number 1, maybe because I live here, maybe because I'm slightly biased. I don't know. I do know. I love the vibe of LA. I love the relaxed vibe. I think that's the reason why a lot of trends start here, and also even fashion kind of becomes established here, because people here have a lot of freedom and they do what they want and they dress how they want. And I know the aloof indifference can be really annoying in the city, and it is, except for when it comes to fashion, because you don't care and you can do what you want. And you can be inspired by so many different things that are happening here. For instance, Hollywood, obviously, the entertainment industry accentuates all the fashion. They care what they look like and they want other people to look at them. So they're gonna look good. That inspires the rest of us. And then we all wanna dress maybe a little better, look a little better, and that elevates everything. The weather is so easy that you pretty much don't have to think about what you're wearing. You wear it literally for style. And on top of that too, there's so many cool areas with people that are doing different things that you can really tell. If you're down in the beach culture, you check that out. But also if you go up to Hollywood, you get the glam. You come out to some of these other cities and you'll see its culture reflected in its fashion, and it's inspiring. It's just continuously inspiring, and I love it. I love that I can be a product of this environment. And I've always thought that even no matter where you were, you had have the access to fashion, especially in this internet age. However, at the end of the day, you become a product of your environment. It's simple as that. So those are my top 5 fashionable cities in the United States. I hope you enjoyed this list. I really did want to do a list of alternative cities, but I didn't get too inspired by them, and especially when I did my research. But there are a couple in there that I would love to showcase. So if you want to see that list, hit in the comments below and say alternative list, or just ask me for that. I might make with that one in the future. So my name is Timothy Sands, and this is my story of fashion and fatherhood. If you've been watching this long, hit me in the comments and say style first. And if you like this video, I think you'll like this playlist right here. It has to do with how to be an old school gentleman. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got a couple videos in there. And always remember, never forget, style first. Shall I say it? See you on the flip side? Oh.